The moments that have impacted me the most in my life are in the past. My favorite games and movies are things I consumed long ago and now struggle to remember. Well, I do remember them, but it's not the works themselves that I recall, it's the feelings they gave me. The longing I have for the emotions I felt while playing games on my old white computer 20 years ago is so strong that what I want most now is to return to those happy memories and live in them forever. But of course, that's not possible. Even if I could go back, even if I played the same games on my old computer in my old room, the effect wouldn't be the same. The impact of those memories only revealed itself with time. When I think about the house I lived in as a child, I feel this longing now, but I didn't have these feelings when I was actually living there. Those memories feel nostalgic now, but back then they were just ordinary things. Nostalgia is such an interesting emotion. It brings us both joy and sadness at the same time, and sometimes it can be so powerful that it traps us in our old memories and prevents us from creating new ones. It was even considered a disease in the past, and I have felt my share of it. I constantly think about the past and how wonderful the old games were. The games today seem much lower in quality by comparison. At least that's how it seemed at first, but upon reflection, that's not true. There are plenty of recent games I love. I lied when I said my favorite games are in the past. It's nostalgia making me feel this way. Over time, as I discovered new games, I realized that many of the games I played as a child weren't as great as I thought. I know this because I have replayed those games, hoping to feel the same emotions I once did. But sadly, it didn't happen. Let me give you some examples. For instance, I recently replayed Midtown Madness, a game I loved as a kid. Initially, it felt great, but soon I realized it was nostalgia making it seem so. As that nostalgic feeling faded, I saw the game for what it was: mediocre. Of course, considering the year it was released, that's not a fair judgment. They made a good game for its time and people, including me, loved it. But now thinking about it, there is not much left to enjoy in that game. Once I lost that nostalgic feeling, the game I played for hours as a child suddenly felt unfamiliar. The joy I felt as a child was replaced by the lack of enjoyment I experienced recently. Now, when I think of Midtown Madness, I recall the disappointment of my last playthrough instead of the joy of my childhood. And that's not a good thing. I hope my feelings haven't completely changed. I decided to test this with another game I loved as a child. Serious Sam, of course. I had so much fun playing it back then. If someone had asked me about it yesterday, I would have said great things. But sadly, within minutes of playing Serious Sam again, I realized it wasn't as good as I remembered. I'm not sure what I expected. Maybe because I loved it so much as a kid, I thought I would still enjoy it now, even if it wasn't a great game. But that wasn't the case. I couldn't enjoy it. The feelings I had as a child were gone. Like with Midtown Madness, replaying it damaged my memories. Does this mean the feelings I had as a child were a lie? Was I deceiving myself? Why did I remember this game as better than it was? Of course, the answer is because I was a child. Children tend to exaggerate everything, perceiving things as either better or worse than they actually are. Even so, my childhood feelings couldn't have been meaningless, right? I must have gotten something out of these games. I couldn't have exaggerated everything. But still, I was afraid to try another old game. What if it didn't live up to my memories and ruined those memories again? I didn't want that. But I decided to take the risk and play another game that feels nostalgic to me. Red Alert 2. And the result? This game is amazing, folks, just as good as I remembered. Finally, my memories didn't let me down, and this game I once loved still brought me joy. This time, nostalgia didn't deceive me. This means I don't need to be afraid anymore. Not everything I loved in the past was mediocre or unplayable just because it's old. Red Alert 2 is very old, but it's still enjoyable. After playing it for a while, I felt relieved for two reasons. First, seeing that I can still love things I enjoyed in the past. And second, I had believed that these old games were no longer playable today. But I was wrong. And I'm happy about that because there are old games I haven't played yet. I felt like I needed to play those games when they were first released. For example, I haven't played the old Metal Gear Solid games, and as time passed, I kept postponing them, thinking they were too old and I wouldn't enjoy them as much now. But now I know that no matter how old a game is, if it's good, I can still enjoy it. Perfect. Last year, I watched an anime called Frieren. I can't say I have watched a lot of anime, probably a maximum of 15, but Frieren became one of the most impactful for me. It touched my soul, the emotions it conveyed sank deep into my heart, and it brought me peace. Spoiler alert for Frieren. The anime centers around an elf named Frieren who has lived for over 1,000 years. The story begins at the end of a heroic tale. Frieren and her companions have defeated the Demon King who threatened the world and are returning home. Frieren bids farewell to her friends and sets out on a journey. 50 years later, she decides to visit them again. However, while 50 years is a short time for an elf, it's a long time for humans. Her companions have aged and are nearing the end of their lives. Soon after, Himmel the hero, one of the friends she traveled with for 10 years to defeat the Demon King, passes away. And right there, Frieren says something that deeply moved me.
だって私、この人のこと何も知らないし、たった10年、一緒に旅しただけだし、人間の寿命は短いって分かっていたのに、なんでもっと知ろうと思わなかったんだろう。
A mere 10 years. These words etched into my soul. For Frieren, 10 years is less than 1/100th of her life, yet she regrets the things she didn't do during that time. By the end of the episode, she decides she wants to understand humans better and sets out on new adventures. Until recently, I was like Frieren. I used to regret the things I hadn't done in the past. But now I think it's time to let go of the past because time keeps moving forward. Constantly dwelling on the past prevents us from appreciating the present. Of course, I won't forget my old memories. They shaped who I am right now. But I only have about 50 years left to live at most, so it's better to fill this time with as many new memories as possible. Instead of trying to relive old memories, I want to create new ones. Remembering my old memories and knowing I lived them is enough because time flies. So I no longer live in the past. I'm always discovering new things and creating new memories. Frieren taught me that. I know this video isn't about nostalgia in anime, but Frieren had such an impact on me that I wanted to share another example from it while we are here. We'll get back to games, I promise. In episode 3, Frieren and Fern visit a demon that Frieren fought 8 years ago and turned into stone because she couldn't defeat it. Frieren now wants to eliminate this threat completely, so they undo the spell on the demon. The demon attacks them with Zoltarak, a powerful spell he developed. However, in the 8 years he was frozen, humans learned and developed counter spells to Zoltarak, making it an ordinary offensive magic. As a result, they defeat the demon easily. What was once a dangerous and special spell 8 years ago has become simple and ordinary. In contrast, Frieren has grown much stronger and more knowledgeable in these 8 years. In fact, Frieren defeats the demon with the same ordinary magic. This shows us that standing still means falling behind over time. Being overly attached to the past or constantly living in our old memories can be dangerous. Instead of playing the same game or watching the same movie repeatedly, stepping out of our comfort zone and trying new things helps us grow. I say this, yet I often tend to do otherwise as well. I know leaving the comfort zone isn't easy, but at least I still have strength to try. There's nothing wrong with reminiscing about our old memories as long as we don't become obsessed, thinking the past was great and present is terrible. At least that's how I see it. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about Frieren. Let's get back to the games. I always played games on PC until the PS4, but before all of that, I had a console. I remember playing old Nintendo games, which are some of my oldest memories. I was very young then, but I still recall playing them. Super Mario was my favorite among those games. Some others I remember are Contra, Bomberman, the tank game, that circus game, this elevator game, Duck Hunt, and Tetris. I'm sure there are many more I'd remember if I saw them, but these are the ones that come to mind first. All of these games feel nostalgic to me. I don't have the chance to play them again right now, but if I ever get the chance, I'd love to revisit them. Another nostalgic memory for me is the shareware CDs we used to have. I think I got them through a magazine. These CDs had demos of many games. I remember discovering Diablo 2 and Tomb Raider through these demos. I spent a lot of time playing the Diablo 2 demo. It didn't even contain the first act of the game. It only had maybe 1% of the whole game, and yet I loved it. I vividly remember the excitement when I finally played the full version years later. Diablo 2 is one of my all-time favorite games, and I played it for years. On the other hand, although I also enjoyed the Tomb Raider demo, I never played the full version, so I don't have the same strong connection to it. But seeing it now, it still feels nostalgic. As for older games that I still play but don't feel nostalgic, GTA Vice City and Max Payne 2 are two examples. I have played these games periodically throughout my life, from childhood to just last year, so they don't feel nostalgic because they have been a constant. I even finish GTA Vice City once a year, and Max Payne 2 is another game I revisit frequently, so it doesn't feel nostalgic either. And I played Diablo 2 regularly until Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, and I would have continued playing it even without the remaster. These games are timeless. Their appeal isn't tied to nostalgia. I have realized that. In the end, the memories of games and stories that shaped me will always hold a special place in my heart. All these works have touched my heart in one way or another and shaped who I am today. I'm grateful to have experienced them, but now I look forward to the new experiences that await me. I'm ready to discover more stories that will inspire me. Life is a journey of continuous discovery, and I'm eager to see where the next chapter takes me. Thank you for watching.